Jotnik's Paranormal. I'm Kirstin Truccano, and joining me is Jamie Widener and Chad Thomas.
Good evening. I know why you're laughing.
So, no, even to make that better, so Jamie and I, during the little intro music, we kind of dance a bit, and Jamie went hardcore, but I look to my right, and it's also Alex dancing.
It's a thing.
So that was amusing. I needed that.
I'm going to come clean on this. So before you joined us, and it was just Chad and I, that would be normal what you saw. And I thought before you joined in, I thought I should probably tone that down, and so I don't look like a whack job, like all crazy dancing and drumming and everything. So
we're just back to normal now. In other words,
I let it out.
It took a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So
God, it had to be like what, 6 or 7 months for you to finally start acting normal?
You just bring out the best. What can I say?
Bert's with us already and wants to know, who are you? Where am I?
These are questions we can't answer.
I don't even know who I am.
No.
Well, we're the Paranormal Lens. Who knows how the opening really went?
I introduced us.
True.
It was dying of laughter, but I introduced us.
Oh, boy.
Anyway.
And that was all after a bunch of technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But we're here. We're
we
ready.
made it.
We're great.
That was all me. I'm sorry, guys. I had a camera that did not want to work. I'm so sorry.
Jamie, we don't blame you. We blame your camera.
Okay, good. Technically, that's me though. So whatever. I'm okay with it. Blame me if you wish.
Anyway, how are you guys?
I'm tired. It's been
Same.
a long day.
Oh, about the same. It's been a week of getting a college kid ready to go again. Mm-hmm. Round 2, second year should be easier, right? No, it's not. It's my understanding that she is currently at Target, looking for things that she doesn't know she needs.
Yep.
The parents in the world know what I mean. So, and then I don't know if there's another stop after that, but 4 p.m. Thursday is move-in time, and we got a very narrow window of time to get ready for that to happen. So,
yeah. And that was after a birthday party for the other sibling earlier on Saturday. It's all compressed, trying to get all the last-minute things in.
Yep, exactly. Two of the cousins are going off to college, and 3 of them actually. I guess you count Graham in there too. So there's a lot of transition happening. So.
Kirstin,
just around the corner for you.
Yeah, next scene she's driving.
No, absolutely not.
And then college after the driving.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, let's not go there.
Well, it's true. Yeah, yours doesn't drive.
Yep.
Yet.
Paula, good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. So. I'm with you guys on Tired. This past weekend was the opening for the Ren Fair. Mm-hmm. And I was dumb on Saturday, and I went way too hard on interacting with everyone. And by Sunday, at 11, when the gates opened, I was so tired. But to make it even better, it rained on Sunday, so
a lot.
And it was like a cold rain. So it was like, I was cold. I was wet. I just wanted to go home. On the plus side, it was a shortened joust. I didn't have to stay for the final show. So I got to go home early.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you then. So the Ren Fair is a rain or shine event, right?
Yes.
Because it would be normally, right, in the real world. How much heavier does the uniforms that you wear, the gear that you wear, get when it's wet? Because it seems heavy to begin with.
So,
it's like a big sponge.
I'm lucky. I get to actually start, because photos have been released. I can talk about my costume. I am in pants, a shirt, and a bodice.
Oh.
So my costume is not heavy at all. all my friends who are dressed as noble ladies, go from like a 10 to 15 pound dress to like a 30 pound dress.
Yep.
So I'm great. I'm fine. My friends, yeah, they're getting real good leg workouts going on.
Gotcha. I mean, 10 pounds like a turkey for two, right? And then 30 is like a family size. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of weight. Holy cow.
So,
All right.
so Heather has a comment here. She said, Kaya is only going to be a senior in high school, and then she is showing me stuff she wants in her dorm room.
So it begins.
So
That's fine.
Yep.
Hey, only 180 days till graduation. But we have a senior here too, and that kind of conversation is loosely started as well. So,
Yep.
yeah,
I'll
I
say
hear it.
my
I feel it too.
my stepsister is a senior, and she hasn't even figured out what college she's going to yet. But she'll
Right.
find out soon. She'll
Oh,
figure it out.
But that doesn't matter. You can still pick stuff for your dorm room.
I'm sure she is too.
So, so yeah, this is the second podcast I'm working on today. I recorded one with our guest that's coming on next week. So that was part of my day. That was fun. So
Very cool.
I
And
finally just realized that you had emailed me stuff for next week, so I'll look over it eventually. It might be like 5 minutes before the episode next week.
that's okay.
It'll be seen.
yeah, it'd be fresh that way.
Yep.
I'll be fine.
Well, before we get too far along here, I have something important to share.
What's that?
Today is Chad Thomas's birthday.
Yeah.
Yay!
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Chad. Can we sing? Can we?
No,
everybody
please-
out there in the world, let's all sing together. No.
No,
Okay.
that's okay.
All right. I'll trust you'll do it on your own time then. No worries.
Yep.
No big deal.
I have my
That's all right.
cupcake with my candle in it, and
Just one candle because as many as there should be would start a fire.
exactly. Yep.
The smoke
Yep.
detectors are going off.
There
Sprinklers
would be
kick
no
on.
cupcake left. Just a ball of candles.
Oh, I laughed a little too hard. I'm a smidge older than Chad, so I feel that actually.
Yeah,
You would also have a ball of candles.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thank you,
It's a
Paul.
bonfire.
Appreciate it. Yep. So, well, now that we've
Here's
we've
another
done-
round a trip around the sun for you this year, sir.
Yep, exactly. Each
More-
one gets
more
better and
people.
better. So, but now that that's out of the way, I think Kirstin's here to talk about something other than birthdays.
I thought we were just talking about birthdays.
Yeah. Anyway,
And Heather's figured out that I do not share that on Facebook.
because she just went to look.
And realized. Yeah.
Well, not everything is on social media, believe it or not.
That's fine. There's
Interesting.
times where I'm like, Facebook will be like, oh, hey, it's your friend's birthday. I'm like, oh, how old are they? They didn't even put how old they are.
Well, actually, I usually like, they're my friend. What? When did that happen?
I've had that. There's been a few times where I'm like, I'm friends with this person.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I know my dad is always going to post on Facebook on my birthday, and he does a little card thing, and so I know everybody will know that way if they look at my wall. So Facebook doesn't have to tell everybody.
Well, I mean, it's like Dave. Like, when I first joined the team, I sent Dave a friend request. 2 years. I was in friend request purgatory, and all of a sudden I started seeing posts from Dave, and I'm like, when did we become friends? Actually, I think it was longer, because I think it was like earlier this year he finally accepted my friend request. And I've been with the team, I think, like 3 or 4 years now.
It's been a
So
minute.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yep.
when did this happen?
Hey, he's a busy guy. What can you say?
It's just Dave. It's
Yep.
like, where's Jerry? It's just Dave.
So
Anyway, back on topic. Yeah, we are talking about something. We're going to talk about the Arne Johnson trial. So, yeah, it's bringing two of my favorite things together. Ghost stuff, paranormal stuff, and murder. Yeah. Fun fact, I'm a big fan of true crime, which is why I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. So, yeah, I'm bringing two together. Starting again with my sources so I don't get a disappointing look from Jamie. So, my sources are archives.law.virginia.edu slash dengrove slash write-up slash Arne Cheyenne Johnson, lawreview.vermontlaw.edu slash the devil made me do it, viability of demonic possession as a murder defense, www.newyork or nytimes.com slash 1981 slash 03 slash 23 slash ny region slash defendant in a murder puts a devil on trial, and allthat'sinteresting.com slash Arne Cheyenne Johnson. So I got my mouthful out of the way.
That's quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So let's begin. The case of Arne Cheyenne Johnson occupies an unusual place in American criminal history. It involves a murder, an alleged demonic possession, an attempted supernatural defense, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, the Catholic Church, and a courtroom that was forced to confront a question that American law has rarely encountered. Could a person be held responsible for murder if they claimed that a demon had taken control of their body? The answer from the Connecticut court was ultimately no, at least as a legal defense. The court refused to allow Johnson's attorney to present demonic possession as the explanation for his actions. However, the circumstances surrounding the case remain controversial. According to the University of Virginia Law Archives, 19-year-old Arne Cheyenne Johnson stabbed 40-year-old Alan Bono more than 20 times with a pocket knife on February 16, 1981. The murder shocked Brookfield, Connecticut, which had reportedly never experienced a murder during its previous 193 years of history. Johnson had no prior criminal record. What made the case internationally famous was not simply the murder itself, it was the explanation Johnson's defense team attempted to present. His attorney, Martin Minella, proposed a defense based on demonic possession. The idea that Johnson had not acted voluntarily because an evil supernatural entity had taken control of him. The court rejected that defense. Johnson was instead tried on the conventional criminal theory and was ultimately convicted of first-degree manslaughter. He was sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison and served approximately 5 years. This report examines the case chronologically while separating documented events from allegations and later interpretations. The central questions are: what happened before the murder? What did Johnson and the Glatzel family claim? What role did Ed and Lorraine Warren play? Why did Johnson's attorneys attempt to use demonic possession as a defense? Why did the judge reject it? And perhaps more importantly, what does the case tell us about the relationship between supernatural belief, mental health, and criminal responsibility? The events that eventually led to the murder began several months before Alan Bono was killed. In 1980, Arne Cheyenne Johnson was 19 years old and involved in a relationship with Debbie Glatzel. Johnson eventually moved into the Glatzel family home. Debbie's younger brother, David, was 11 years old, according to accounts later given by members of the family. David began experiencing disturbing episodes during the summer of 1980. The descriptions were extraordinary. David reportedly claimed that he was seeing an old man. The entity was described in various accounts as having unusual physical characteristics, including animal-like features, horns, pointed ears, and other frightening traits. These experiences as beginning with David's reports of encounters with apparently threatening figures. At first, members of the family reportedly did not interpret these experiences as supernatural. According to later accounts, they initially believed David might be attempting to avoid chores or seeking attention. The situation became more serious as the alleged episodes continue. The family reported that David experienced violent behavior, strange voices, physical movement, and apparent attacks. Family members claimed that David appeared to struggle with an invisible force and that sometimes he displayed behavior they interpreted as evidence of possession. The University of Virginia Law Archives provide a similar chronology, stating that David began claiming that he was being tormented by a demon approximately 1 month after Johnson moved into the home. It's important to emphasize that these descriptions are reports of what family members have said. They are not established scientific evidence that David was possessed. This distinction becomes particularly important because later accounts of this can ha- case have disagreed about what actually happened to David. Some people believe the explanation was supernatural. Other interpretations have suggested psychological, neurological, developmental, or family-related explanations. The historical records does not provide a universally accepted explanation. As David's reported behavior continued, the Glatzel family sought assistance. The family contacted members of the Catholic Church and eventually paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens were already well known for investigating alleged hauntings and cases of demonic activity. According to the University of Virginia Law Archives, the Warrens became involved with the Glatzel family and participated in 4 minor rites of exorcism intended to remove what was believed to be multiple demons from David. The UVA account states 42 demons were allegedly believed to be involved. The Vermont Law Reviews provides additional descriptions of claims surrounding David. According to its 2024 analysis, Johnson later claimed that he witnessed David levitating, listing the names of 42 demons in Latin and demonstrating unusual strength. The article also discussed claims that after Johnson challenged the alleged entity to enter himself instead, Johnson himself began displaying unusual behavior. Among the stories were claims that he had put his fist through the chest of drawers, and he later fell from a significant height without suffering the injuries that might ordinarily be expected. Johnson was also reportedly claimed to have experienced a blackout during an eventual attack on Alan Bono. These accounts became important because they established the foundation for the defense's later argument. If Johnson had truly become a target of alleged entities, his attorneys could have argued that the murder was not entirely the product of his own conscious decision. However, there was a major problem. The claims were extremely difficult to verify. There was no scientific test that could establish whether David was possessed. There was no scientific test that could establish whether Johnson had been possessed. There was also no accepted forensic method for determining whether a supernatural entity had controlled someone's behavior. This would eventually become the central problem for Johnson's attorney. One of the most frequently repeated details of the case involves a statement Johnson allegedly made during the period when David was experiencing his reported episodes. According to the accounts, Johnson challenged the entity to leave David alone and come after him instead. All That's Interesting quotes the reported statement as, take me on, leave my little buddy alone." The University of Virginia Law Archives similarly records that Johnson challenged the alleged demons to enter himself instead. According to supernatural interpretations of the case, this was the moment the alleged entity transferred its attention from David to Johnson. The family later connected Johnson's behavior to the supposed possession. This interpretation became a major part of the story surrounding the murder. However, this is another way of looking at the same sequence of events. If Johnson genuinely believed that David was experiencing supernatural attacks, he may have become psychologically invested in the explanation. His behavior could potentially have been influenced by fear, suggestion, stress, or the expectations surrounding the alleged possession. That possibly does not prove that supernatural events did occur. It simply demonstrates why the case has remained difficult to interpret. Two people can observe the same unusual behavior and reach completely different conclusions about what caused it. One person might see possession, another might see mental illness, another might see family stress, another might see deliberate fabrication. The legal system, however, cannot simply choose whichever explanation is the most dramatic. It needs evidence. On February 16th, 1981, the supernatural claims became connected to a homicide. Alan Bono was 40 years old. He worked as a kennel manager in Brookfield. Johnson was 19. The two men knew each other through Johnson's relationship with Debbie Glatzel. According to accounts, Johnson and Bono were acquainted and had spent time together before the killing. On the afternoon of February 16th, an argument occurred between the two men. All That's Interesting reports that the confrontation occurred at approximately 6:30 p.m. and that Johnson attacked Bono with a pocket knife. University of Virginia law states that Johnson stabbed Bono more than 20 times. Bono died from his injuries. Johnson was arrested approximately an hour later. From the perspective of law enforcement, the basic facts were relatively straightforward. A man was dead. Another man had stabbed him. The suspect was identified. There was no need for supernatural explanation to be established that the homicide occurred. The question was why, and more specifically, what had been going through Johnson's mind at the time. Johnson later claimed that he had blacked out and did not remember stabbing Bono. The defense would eventually attempt to connect this alleged loss of memory to an earlier claim of demonic possession. However, authorities did not accept the possession explanation as the cause of the killing. Investigators continued to view the killing as a result of an altercation between Johnson and Bono. This created the conflict between the two narratives. The first was conventional criminal narrative. An argument escalated. Johnson attacked Bono, and Bono died. The second was the supernatural narrative. Johnson was allegedly possessed. The entity took control of him. Johnson lost control of his actions. Bono was killed while Johnson was allegedly under supernatural influences. The trial would determine which explanation could legally be presented. Johnson's attorney was Martin Minnella. Minnella attempted to use the defense that had virtually no precedent in American criminal law. The proposed defense was commonly described as not guilty by reason of demonic possession. Vermont Law Review explains that Minnella's argument was connected to the question of criminal intent. If Johnson had truly been controlled by an external supernatural force, the defense argued that he could not have formed the necessary intent to commit the crime. This was not simply an attempt to tell the jury a frightening story. It was an attempt to fit the supernatural explanation into a legal framework. Minnella wanted to call the Catholic priest who had been involved in David's alleged exorcism. The goal was apparently to establish the possession was recognized within Catholic doctrine, and Johnson's behavior could be understood in the context. But the judge refused to allow this strategy. Judge Robert Callahan ruled that the evidence of demonic possession was not relevant and could not have been objectively or scientifically established. Callahan rejected the defense because his assertions could not be scientifically or objectively proven by evidence. Vermont Law Review likewise reports that Callahan considered the proposed possession evidence incompetent. This decision effectively removed the most unusual part of the defense from the courtroom. And this is one of the most commonly misunderstood aspects of the case. The jury did not ultimately sit through a trial in which lawyers presented extensive evidence proving or disproving the existence of demons. The proposed possession defense was rejected. The court did not have to determine whether demons existed. Instead, the judge determined that the proposed evidence could not satisfy the requirements of the legal process, and the distinction is critical. The legal problem with demonic possession is relatively straightforward. A criminal court needs evidence that can be evaluated. Witness testimony can be challenged, physical evidence can be tested, scientific evidence can be analyzed, expert testimony can be questioned. But supernatural possession has no generally accepted forensic test. There is no universally accepted scientific procedure that can be established. This person was possessed by a demon at the time of this crime occurred. Vermont Law Review states that there are no provisions in the United States law specifically recognizing demonic possession as a criminal defense. It notes that claims involving demonic influence may instead appear in the context of insanity or other concerning mental state. This is a crucial distinction. American law does not recognize that the mental disorder can be affected criminal responsibility. So I was actually able to find some of the articles from that time period. So I have a little bit from there. So kind of see from that time period of how this was being said. In March 23rd, 1981, article in the New York Times was titled, "Defendant in Murder Puts the Devil on Trial." The title itself demonstrates how unusual the story appears to contemporary observers. The case was no longer a simple local murder, it has become national curiosity. The idea that an American murder defendant might claim demonic possession was extraordinarily enough to attract journalists, photographers, paranormal investigators, and the public attention. The presence of Ed and Lorraine Warren further intensifies the story. The Warrens were already associated with controversial supernatural investigations. Their involvement gave the case an additional layer of public fascination. The public narrative quickly became larger than the legal case itself. Outside the courtroom, people were debating demons. Inside the courtroom, attorneys were dealing with legal standards. The difference is important when examining historical accounts of the case. Modern retelling often makes it as though the entire trial was centered on whether Johnson was possessed. In reality, the possession defense was rejected. Once that happened, Johnson's attorney had to rely on a more conventional defense strategy. On November 24th, 1981, the jury reached its verdict. Arne Cheyenne Johnson was convicted of first-degree manslaughter. He was sentenced to between 10 to 20 years in prison. University of Virginia law states that Johnson ultimately served approximately 5 years because of good behavior. All That's Interesting gives that same basic outcome, reporting that Johnson was convicted on November 24th and served approximately 5 years of his sentence. The verdict established the legal outcome of the case. Johnson was held criminally responsible for the death of Alan Bono. The jury did not accept a supernatural explanation as the basis for avoiding responsibility. More importantly, the court had never formally determined that Johnson was possessed. The alleged possession remained a claim. The distinction is sometimes lost when the case is discussed later on. Historical records establish that Johnson killed Bono and was convicted. It does not establish as a matter of scientific or legal fact that Johnson was possessed by a demon. Lost my part. Play again. The last importance of the Arne Johnson case may actually have little to do with whether demons exist. Its legal significance comes from the question of responsibility. Criminal law generally operates on the principle that people should be held responsible for their actions when they possess the required mental state and ability to control their conduct. Johnson's attorney attempted to argue that the murder was fundamentally different because Johnson was allegedly under the control of another entity. The judge rejected that approach. Vermont law explains that American law contains no established provisions recognizing demonic possession as an independent defense. That does not mean a defense belief in possession is automatically irrelevant. Instead, such beliefs could potentially become relevant through other established legal concepts, particularly mental illness and insanity. The difference is subtle but extremely important. The court does not have to decide does the devil exist? It can instead be asked, what was the defendant's mental state? The question can be evaluated through medical testimony, psychological evidence, witness testimony, and other established legal procedures. The Johnson case therefore illustrates the boundary between personal belief and legal proof. A person can believe something deeply, a family can share that belief, a religious institution can recognize supernatural concepts, a paranormal investigator can interpret events as possession, but the courtroom still has to determine what evidence is admissible and legal standards what legal standards apply. The Arne Cheyenne Johnson case began as a murder investigation. On February 16th, 1981, no, yeah, sorry, I lost my spot again. Johnson was arrested and prosecuted, but surrounding the murder was a much stranger story. Months earlier, Johnson had become involved with the Glatzel family. David Glatzel, his future brother-in-law, reportedly experienced a frightening episode, which was interpreted as demonic possession. The family sought assistance from the Catholic Church. Exorcism rites were performed. Johnson allegedly challenged the entity to leave David and enter him. Later, Johnson became the defendant in a murder case. His attorney attempted to use demonic possession as a legal defense. So with that, apparently my report cut off, so that's where it ended. So yeah.
All right. Well, we've come up with a couple questions from our viewers.
Yeah.
Bert's question was he drug tested, and that ties into one of Heather's questions, which was, were drugs being used ever mentioned in the case?
Drugs were never mentioned in the case. However, him and Alan Bono were drinking.
Right. And when this came up, I did a quick search. Drug testing was never done to Arne Johnson, but the blood alcohol level for the person that he killed was 0.33%. So they were drinking a lot.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
So that was pretty high. Then Paula asked, was he practicing demonology at all?
I didn't find anything that said he was practicing demonology.
Okay. And then Heather's other question was, when he was in jail, did anything happen with him being possessed?
I couldn't find anything of him in jail. I know there is a whole Conjuring movie about it that showed that he had an exorcism in jail. I could not find if that actually happened.
Okay.
It's it's an interesting approach. Like, I know a few episodes ago you did all about possession and stuff in different court cases, which made me, that's why I got into this one, because it was like, man, that made me think of this.
Mm-hmm.
If he was not, if he wasn't drinking and this still happened, I could possibly believe it a bit more. I don't feel like, I feel like there's things missing.
Right.
Um,
I found it interesting that it was manslaughter that he was charged with, and
yeah,
not anything higher than that,
yeah,
um, which carries a much lighter sentence. So it's almost like there was a little bit of lean towards
that they believed it.
right.
Um, I know on Netflix there is a documentary called The Devil on Trial that actually, it's interesting because it interviews Arne, the Glatzel family, and the grandson of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and like listening to it and everything, I do believe that there was probably something in the house that they moved into. I believe that there was something there. Do I think it was a demon? No. Um, I can't explain the lapse of memory, or like the articles were saying of, there's no way to scientifically prove that there was a demonic possession.
Right.
So let's think about the time frame, the
Yeah.
era. So we're talking the late 70s, early 80s. That is the heyday of celebrity paranormal people.
Mm-hmm.
Hans Holzer was on TV regularly. The Warrens, very well in the public eye all the time. There were movies, and I can't remember the date of this, but the exorcism was around there.
Was that
So
75?
we're putting some stuff forward, right?
Right.
And I say that because we go back to the Chupacabra episode we did long time ago. The initial claim of seeing the Chupacabra came right after the movie Species was released, and
Mm-hmm.
the description was basically the same thing. you
Right.
know, and the person who claimed to have seen it in her backyard and down in Puerto Rico admitted that she saw the movie very recently before the sighting, the claim. And I'm not putting anything negative here, but it's kind of like that power of suggestion. And I can't speak at all to what David was going through, for his episodes. But we're talking about a kid, so the power of suggestion certainly could be there,
Mm-hmm.
and not knowing the pressures, the household situation that he was in, the stressors, the trauma that he could have. And we didn't know what trauma really was back then the way we do now. It could be his way of getting attention, getting something else to stop. Um, and all of that kind of bundles together, and you put susceptibility with it, and then you put someone who cares in the mix, perhaps as I would expect Arnie to be, and wanting to take the thing from him for himself, to relieve him. And I can see how all this kind of can bundle together. You throw in, whether there is drugs involved or not. I won't say that, but if there was, that's an additive. Certainly, alcohol is another mix of it.
Yeah.
There's a bundle of stuff happening here that all leads to an episode.
Right.
And I guess we'll never really truly know what happened between Arnie Johnson and Alan Bono. The exactness of that situation. You only get one side of the story now.
Right.
You get both. So it's a very interesting way that we covered it. We being they in the day, it was covered by a possession. And because I'm sure that was all that they were projecting, into the legal defense. That's what they were telling them. I mean, they're working off what they know, and they have to go with facts and evidence. So they're trying to say, well, okay, the evidence was created because the facts was created because of this, and that's a fascinating thing.
Mm.
And I I don't know. I find this really interesting, and I'm surprised that well, maybe it has. We just haven't seen it, but it may have come up since then as a defense somewhere else along the way. I mean, who knows what else is going on around the world? We may have missed it if it's not here, but
Right.
it became It was a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I just have one question, and I wonder what Zach Baggins thinks of this. He's possessed every week.
We gotta. All right, we're gonna get Zach Baggins on Paranormal Lens. We're gonna ask these
No, no,
questions now.
no, no.
We can. Why not? Let's have our people reach out to his people. We'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, sure.
Now, and I kid, Zach, don't sue me. Okay, but I'm kidding with that. But, it is a. I'm sure in his mind he felt this was real and true, and that's a fascinating thing, whether it was or wasn't. I think you said something really interesting. Um, Two things really interesting. Possession has no scientific test,
Yeah.
so that makes it be subjective. And the jury did not have to determine if demons exist because it was never allowed as a defense.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been very interesting because that's really what the case is at that point. Is does it exist or not? And if it does, then he has a legal defense. He has a
I'd
means
be
to be exonerated.
I'd be very interested to see how the case would have went if the judge accepted the case of demonic possession.
Yeah.
Like, I would be very interested to see like what direction that went.
Mm-hmm. Jamie, going back to one of your statements, demonic possession has been brought up in other legal cases. One was in England, 1974, Michael Taylor. Um, the Son of Sam and the Night Stalker, David
Yeah.
Berkowitz and Richard Ramirez, both claimed it, but it was never submitted in court because the judge required hard scientific proof of possession before allowing it to be entered in. So again, they were used, but this was the only time in United States courts that it was brought to trial.
Okay, makes sense.
So, yeah, definitely a lot to dig into and think about because
Mm-hmm.
you know
Yeah.
it this could affect things in everyday life. But a murder trial is definitely like the top of the pyramid on something like this.
And well, the fact that it came down from murder to manslaughter, I know that might have been somewhere in the plea process, but
Hmm.
it really is. It's interesting there, because that is, it goes from intent to being responsible.
Right,
Intent to kill versus responsible for murder. It's
right,
different. It's similar. I mean, we're on someone
right.
died either way, and it's a tragedy either on
It
either end of that, but
it's
it is less.
manslaughter leans more to not premeditated.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the heat of the moment sort of thing. So, or,
And
or not responsible.
in 5 years is a long time to serve, and
Yeah.
that's certainly not the intent of the full length of his term, but I think that's interesting. And am I correct, Kirsten, that Arnie is going to be nearby us in the very near future?
Yes. What is it? He's going to be in Gettysburg, and I want to get the correct date because I don't want to say the wrong one, and then people are like showing up at Gettysburg going,
Right.
"Where is it?"
There's never a bad day to show up in Gettysburg, by the way.
There it is. So yes, Arnie is actually going to be a speaker at the Gettysburg Rec Park for a Parajam, where it's live music and paranormal.
Oh,
So
what's the date on that?
August 29th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay, tickets. I'm
Yeah.
sure tickets are available.
Yeah, tickets are
Mhm.
available. I wish I wasn't at the Ren Fair because I would go and I would ask questions because it's fascinating to me. Um, and I think it'd be very interesting to actually sit and talk with the person that is claiming demonic possession.
Mhm.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, and this is in our lifetime.
Yeah.
For most of us. Maybe not
I mean,
Kirstin.
I mean, all
Close, but
right.
you know,
19, it was about
yeah,
1981 to 95.
yeah.
Over
All
a
right.
decade.
So whatever. Okay, but it's in my lifetime.
Mhm.
And I was young, but that's so not far away. Like well, it feels like it wasn't. It probably was 40 something
Mhm.
years ago, but and that's just amazing to me as well.
Yeah,
These
I
kind
was
of things seem like they should be back in the day, old
right.
school stuff, but it's not.
No.
Unless that's what you call old school, right? It's relative.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's funny how more and more things that we're covering are happening in our lifetime.
Yeah, yeah, true.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, youngins. All
Just
right,
remember, it's not a cupcake. It's just a ball of candles.
your day will come, my friend.
It's getting close. I know that.
Yep. So, well, Kirsten, very good topic, very interesting, nicely done. Thank you for covering it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
I wasn't sure what we are going to get out of this. Because I didn't really do any research. I'm loosely aware of the situation, and I really appreciate the details and the depth.
mhm.
And it was a really cool topic. Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, thank you guys. I always like our discussions afterwards because now we got into talking about the Night Stalker, which linked me to other stuff, which I'm like, now I have an episode coming up because it's not about the Night Stalker, it's about a place that he frequented
Okay,
that I
More to
got to
come.
see when I was in Los Angeles.
cool. Paula said, interesting share. So,
Yeah.
so cool. It's nice to do something a little different than we normally do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very true.
So, cool. And with that, we'll transition to what's coming up because next week is also a little different than what we normally do. Next week, we're going to have a special guest on. Her name is Desert Star. It's her tribal name that she's given by her mother. We'll dig into that a little bit next week. But the episode is called The Soul Remembers Past Life Regression. Back at the beginning of July, I went and had a past life regression with Desert Star. And I have the wrong date on this slide because today's August 18th at 9 p.m. But next
What?
week is we'll be talking with Desert. She'll be on the air with us. She's looking forward to it. I spent an hour and a half talking today on her podcast, so we'll definitely dig into some things. It was an interesting experience. We'll dig into the experience, but we'll also dig into how she goes through the process. And some different things with that. The types of past life regressions that are available. The one that I went through was what's called a QHHT, which is quantum. I forget it's healing therapy. But she will be able to explain that a lot better than I can. But I'm really looking forward to the discussion. I sent you guys a copy of the whole transcript, it took about an hour and a half to go through the regression, and it was really a lot of interesting things and things for me to continue to digging into in the future. So that's next week. After that, September 1st, Jamie, and again, personal experience, Bennington Triangle.
Yep.
That's you. September 8th, Lizzie Borden. September 15th, Hide and Shriek, The Haunting of Hyde Hall. September 22nd is Bacon's Castle. September 29th is Haus Fuhlingen. And October 6th, I'm going to do the Copper King Mansion in Butte. So that'll be interesting. I'm all about celebrating again next
There it
week.
is. Yeah. So I guess I'll have to do it twice. So nice. We'll do it twice.
Yep. So,
Heather has a comment here, a question on the have you shared anything with Jamie and Kirsten, or will they be surprised with all of us? We are to be fair and honest, we have been shared the script for the episode, but neither of us have had time to look
Neither of us
at
have
it.
looked at it.
Well,
And it may not, honestly, till at least the weekend, maybe later.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
the transcript script from the
yeah,
regression. I transcribed it just to help me remember that was part of it, and I thought it would be good for them to have it just to because we won't go into all the details, but that way they have the background for everything.
I
So
appreciate that. Thanks.
yeah, and then our normal contact. You found us either on Facebook, YouTube, or one of the streaming sources, but you can contact the team at jotnicksparanormal.com on the website. You can email us at info@paranormal-lens.com. You can find all our links at linktree/paranormal lens, which is linktr.ee/paranormal lens. And if you want to support us, if you like what we do and you feel generous and you want to support us, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/paranormal9. That just helps defray the cost of what we're doing here and helps keep everybody entertained. And we appreciate anything that you can do for us on that front. But reach out. We want to hear from you, email wise, or leave us stars on our on any of the viewing platforms. We appreciate that. I think Bert gave us 5 stars last week on the live here, so we always appreciate that. So,
He's given both you guys 5 stars.
so, so yeah. Any closing thoughts, guys?
No?
No, it was cool. Again, thanks. Still a lot to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Processing still. So looking forward to next week. Really, this is going to be cool.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited for next week.
Yeah. Talking about it with her today was really stimulating for next week.
Hold
Oh,
on, hold on. Paula with the comment of the night. I have an adventure for us and Lewis. If you guys are interested, it's a lighthouse tour. Yes, please.
I'm listening.
When? We're all leaning in.
I'm listening.
Well, Paul, I'm not sure if you know, but I've done several episodes on lighthouses. They're one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
And it gets better, Jamie. It gets better.
Dun, 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 dun. Yes.
Yes.
Investigation. Where do I sign? I have a sister in Long Neck. I'm good to go. Let's get there.
I'll say I have a camper nearby. I can just crash there afterwards. Let's go.
Yeah, but I think Bert's on board there.
Perfect.
And
Thanks,
to make it even better,
Oh,
Yes.
do the research.
all right.
Perfect.
This is great.
So,
All right. I guess this is probably the time we say road trip then.
Road trip.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we didn't get to say it earlier.
Well,
Right.
we can't really say road trip about a murder trial.
No.
Occasionally there are ones we can't. Right.
So, road trip for a lighthouse.
So yeah, that sounds cool, Paulo. Anytime you're, just let us know, and we will definitely be
Yes.
looking forward to that one. So
Make it happen. There you go. Perfect.
Yep.
Thanks, Paul. Road trip.
All right. Well,
yes. And
Yes.
Heather says, hi, Paula. Don't forget your new friends, the Lynches. They're pretty cool. You'll like them.
they are.
They're
And
your new best friend.
And Bert's a great cook in the morning
Yes.
if we do an Airbnb. So
I've heard.
True story.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Paula. We appreciate that. So let's wrap this up and get out of here until next week. Tonight we had a murder, a claim of demonic possession, and a courtroom willing to hear the argument, but ultimately unwilling to accept it. The Arne Johnson trial sits at the strange intersection of crime, faith, psychology, and the paranormal. So, after hearing the evidence, the claims, and the controversies, what do you believe really happened? We'll leave that question sit with you. Until next time, stay alert, stay respectful, and stay curious. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.